We are a few weeks into 2025 and we have the rest of Series 8 Trainer Team Series. So these obviously went up for pre-order a few months back. I don't think any of them actually sold out as far as pre-orders go, but they actually finally hit stores on their release day, which was Sunday, January 12th. So we have Golisopod and ZERAORA, and I'm going to review both of these, but I think we're going to do Golisopod first because that's a big bug. So I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw that Golisopod was announced for Series 8, I was a little like, huh, interesting choice. Because for me, the last time I remember seeing this Pokemon was with Guzma. And that was a while back, like Sun and Moon era. But I'm not upset about it. I mean, this is a solid Pokemon to add to the select line. Especially if they're able to add extra articulation within the arms and the little jabbies, off to the side. Then I think this could be a really stand-up figure. The price remains the same at $19.99. You can find this at your Target stores in the States. It is an exclusive there. And you shouldn't have too hard of a time finding this. I think the last Pokemon that I remember people had a hard time finding was Flygon. I saw that on shelf, I think once, when it first dropped, and then I never saw it again. But for good reason. I mean, it's probably one of their best figures, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Here is the barcode and the Target DPCI to help you track this down. I will also put it in the tagged products link right here in case you don't want to drive out to the stores. Now, I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised with this figure so far. It's got the articulation that I was hoping it was going to have. It's also significantly heavier. When I was holding ZERAORA, I was like, dude, this feels like twice as heavy as this figure. Which I was also concerned about because I was like, man, it's gonna be really heavy. It's got those little bug hooves, as feet. And I didn't think it was gonna be able to stand without the articulated stand, but it can actually hold a pose and a lot easier than you would think. The color scheme and the paint applications also look really accurate. I love the purple that kind of comes through at the top of the thighs. And lastly, the sculpting looks impeccable. I mean, 6 feet, 7 inches, 250 plus pounds. That is a big bug. And since we're talking about it, we might as well measure this figure. Definitely over 6 inches. I would say about 6.5. When it comes to articulation, the areas that were important to me are going to be here at the arms. So I was hoping that there was going to be articulation here, and there absolutely is. So it seems like it is just like a swivel joint. So I could take all these little jabby arms right here and I can spin them around, and there's also a swivel joint here, so I can extend this arm outwards, and then I can also flex just under 90 degrees. So I mean, this is great because we see Golisopod using these arms all throughout the animated series. Poison jab and all that kind of stuff, so we can move all these arms in a bunch of different directions, but I can't really spin them around all the way just because there's a thicker part right here that kind of catches, and I don't want to stretch it out too much and make this arm extremely loose. But for what it's worth, you could take all these arms, go backwards, extend outwards this way. I could rotate still upwards and downwards and around, and then so I can give each of these arms a lot of character. And just now figuring this out, there's actually articulation here at these tips. There is a hinge, and how about a swivel? Can we spin this around too? I don't think so. Looks like just some swivel action, but that was a surprise. I had no idea that there was going to be that extra articulation at the tips. This is crazy. This is like a, hey, what are you doing here? But when it comes to the big arms, looks like we have a hinge and a swivel right here. So going downwards, nothing too crazy, and upwards, though there is some movement, nothing over the top, but this plate scale thing kind of gets in the way, but that's just part of the design. But let's see, can we spin this arm around? Okay, yeah, so we can spin the big arms around, and then it looks like there's another joint right here, and this seems to be just a ball joint. So yeah, I can spin that arm around right there, or at least that wrist area, and that is about it as far as articulation goes. The big claws right here, there's no articulation there. The rest of this head and upper torso area is going to be one solid piece, but we do have a torso joint right here. It is a simple hinge, and I can move this abdomen, a little ab crunch right here, up and down. I can't really get too much from side to side just because it kind of tapers into an hourglass shape and kind of gets in the way right there. But that is okay because this ab crunch right here will come in handy for a lot of cool poses. So this is the purple I was talking about earlier that kind of comes through right here that matches these antennae or whatever. And that's cool. So there's let me figure out what's going on over here. So it looks like it's probably a ball joint because I can move up, down, and around in a circular motion. I can rotate. Doesn't look like, oh, maybe I can spin all the way. Okay, yeah, so I can spin this joint all the way around. Nice and solid. We can bring the legs inwards and outwards. Not a whole lot going on because they're just big, beefy legs. And then we do have a little baby knee joint, a simple hinge, and no real swivel action going on. I mean, there is some play, but nothing crazy. But you know something that I'm noticing about this figure is there's not a whole bunch of joints exposed. I mean, especially here at the hips. Like, whatever ball joints that they're using right here are tucked away. You can't see them. I mean, you can see this knee joint here barely. And the same thing with, like, the little arms up here. I mean, everything is pretty, like, hidden. I mean, the only thing that is really exposed is going to be, like, the torso joint and like the knees. I mean, I didn't even know like these stabby claws existed until like I was messing with them. And that's pretty cool because, you know, if you look back at Series 1, Charizard had that like segmented tail. All the joints were exposed, but I mean, that's fine. They were figuring it out. It was a brand new line, but as this line has progressed, they've really been able to like cover up a lot of these joints and, you know, make this figure look a little bit more realistic. Now, I gotta say, I like this figure a lot more than I thought I would. You know, I am a casual Golisopod fan. It's not my all-time favorite Pokemon, but I do appreciate it. But this figure really surprised me. I mean, having the extra articulation at those little baby arms was crucial, really cool. And then the added articulation at like the points was a really nice touch. The sculpting is spot on. The paint applications look nice. They don't feel cheap or like they're gonna scrape off with like the slightest fall. I do like how the joints are mostly covered up and not exposed and like kind of take away from the overall look of the Pokemon. And you know, this thing is heavy. Like, it's so solid for like $20. I mean, they didn't hollow out the plastic or anything. Like, it's a really sustainable piece. I mean, if you could use this as a paperweight at your office if you wanted to. And despite being as heavy as it is, I could still get it to stand without the articulated stand. Now, if I wanted to get more dynamic poses, then I can do so and I would use that stand. You know, this Trainer Team Series line does a lot of things right. The price point is so crucial, and when I talk about figures, that is the first thing that I look at is how much does this cost, and then I look at, okay, what does this give me within the price point? For a mere $20, this checks a lot of boxes for me. Like the articulation, some Pokemon have more than others. I mean, that's just the nature of their design, and it kind of is what it is. Some are easier to stand than others, and you have to take all that into consideration. But for Golisopod, I think this is a very solid figure. If you're a fan of this Pokemon, then you're absolutely gonna love it in your collection. And even if you're not so much a fan of this Pokemon, I would say give it a shot, give it a try. I mean, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, I know I was. And like, after handling and articulating this figure, I don't know, I felt like a little bit more of a newfound appreciation for this Pokemon. But that's all I got for you with this video. I really hope you enjoyed this unboxing and review of the new Golisopod figure from the Trainer Team series. $20 is that price point, only at Target if you live in the States. Of course, check the tag products below because you can pick this figure up right now if you want to. If you did enjoy this unboxing and review, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel and it motivates me to keep pumping out these types of videos. And make sure you connect with me on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date when new things drop like the rest of our Trainer Team series. I mean, we have Deoxys coming soon, we have Mega Charizard, and Cinderace. That is coming within Series 9. But until then, collectors, I'll see y'all in the next video.